Well, good fishing will be on, we'll still have summer.
We good to go?
Priorities.
I'll toss out a question. This is obviously a big package. Is this a bargaining position to start from? Or these all things, do you actually believe you can get passed?
Great question. I think this is a couple of things. First of all, we felt that it was very important to look at the opportunity that we have in front of us. Looking at current services, looking at existing revenue in the state, and looking at the very real challenges that we have that we feel is absolutely necessary to address, we put together these priorities. We do know at the end of the day that we will be working with our Republican colleagues and we will ultimately pass a budget. It will be one that both of us feels reflects the values and needs of Maine people.
I was a little, Republicans were a little skeptical of this, and I was too when I first saw the online revenue figure there, 70 million. It seems a bit hopeful. You know, is this a realistic picture that you guys are painting here?
It is a realistic picture. So that number, 35 million per year, is based on similar states with similar demographics and population, and that has been actually collecting Amazon-only sales tax.
Just Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, and so, I mean, you know, we have revenue forecasts every month. I mean, mess around with, you know, the possibility, but it isn't. I mean, the idea is that, you know, it's property tax relief for the state. I mean, if the Republicans want to talk about equivalent about is the number right or is it not? We believe it is, but you know, that'll all be discussions that we'll have. But the number one thing is property tax relief for people in the state. And that's something that they should be focused on, not equivalent over, you know, if this number is right or not. I mean, we believe it is. I think they're just kind of throwing up something that, you know, was just a way to not talk about what really is the issue. Property taxes are too high in the state.
We just got back from talking to Representative Fredette and Estley, and they made it clear again that this 3% surcharge is a big issue for them, and at this point they're not going to go along with it. And you guys it's included in your budget. Where's the middle ground there? What's going to happen?
Listen, it's included in our budget because it is current law. So just to step back for a second, the budget that we put together here includes current services, it includes current law, and it also includes other revenue with our ideas and our priorities in it. If Republicans value education for our kids, they might be coming forward with other proposals, but what we know to be true is that right now in the state of Maine, funding education to the tune of 55% is paid for with a 3% surcharge. That is the law.
One of the other things we heard from Representative Fredette was, you know, fundamental, you know, difference of opinion on whether, you know, schools education needs to be reorganized or streamlined, like the governor wants to do. And you know, he said, you know, they're going to keep throwing money at this. What do they want? You know, what do they expect? I know you disagree. Tell me why. There's not more of a focus in your proposal on efficiencies within education in the state, as opposed to just funding more.
Well, so first of all, to be clear, this is a budget document, not a policy document, not policies that are created and talked about in committee, which will absolutely ultimately be part of the process that we go through. Educating our kids, making sure that they are prepared to participate in today's world, in today's global economy, is the greatest and most important responsibility we have. When we talk about, I think sometimes we spend a lot of time talking about 55%. What does that really mean? What we're really trying to get at are two things: the highest, most excellent education standards, and making sure that those standards and that education is available for any kid in the state, no matter where they live, whether they are in the far reaches of rural communities or in a town like the one that I'm from. And that's why that funding is necessary, and that's why we're determined to fight for it.
Would that go into GPA? That it would go straight into GPA?
Yes.
Well, you know, and I mean, they're just passing the buck once again. I mean, we've had this ongoing thing about getting the 55% of education. because their failure to want to do anything about it, I mean, the voters went out and told us very clearly that they want education funded at 55%. And the governor has a report over there that actually shows that the EPS funding formula is equitable. The biggest problem it has is not fully funded. And so, I mean, this is just another attempt to backtrack on funding education at 55%. And like the speaker said, we have schools, children that are not getting, the education that they deserve. And towns and communities are tearing themselves up because of it. So again, let's, not try and back away from this. Let's take it full on and quit criticizing. Let's do what the voters have told us to do twice now.
They've said that this is the line in the sand for them. Talked about July and August and bringing that up. I mean, do you think this is, and everything just gonna have to be middle ground, by the time we're done here? Is this just your starting point, or is this, is this your proposal the whole way?
First of all, if anybody is talking about August, then they are, I think, being pretty irresponsible, hinting at something that is not an option for us. We will be at the table, we will be working with our Republican colleagues, we will pass a responsible budget, and it will include education funding.
So the Republicans want to shut down state government because we want to give people in the state property tax relief. We want to give them back their own money. Because that's the argument they're going to make, then, look, God bless them.
The reality here is you don't have the votes to pass your proposal. The governor doesn't have votes to pass his budget. Republicans haven't made a budget proposal. So when are you going to sit down and start doing something together?
I definitely think that we are working on, but much like you just said, we haven't seen anything from them. They keep talking about this 3% surcharge, but they want a fully funded education. Well, where is the, what do they have? I mean, we fully believe that property tax relief is something that we have to give to people in the state, from Kittery all the way to Fort Kent. This is what we're hearing. And we put something that we feel very good about, that people in this state are going to like. What do they have to offer? Nothing except, well, maybe the numbers aren't right, or maybe we should do reforms on education. I mean, that's not getting us anywhere either. So I guess, ask them where's their willingness to work with us.
How much would this, if your plan were adopted fully, how much would that increase spending over the current level?
Yeah. So current services are nearly $6.9 billion. The question to surtax is about $370,000. This package that we have would be $248,000 of revenue coming from current economic growth projections.
Million.
Oh, did I just say thousand? 248 million, pardon me. Coming from marijuana sales tax, estimated marijuana sales tax, the Airbnb and Amazon taxes that started being collected in April, and economic projections, growth in economic.
Do you think Maine people, I know you believe strongly in some of these things, in the property tax, do you think Maine people want to see bigger spending by state government?
Well, let me just be clear that I don't believe that's what that is. I mean, what we're doing is sending back $150 million in their own money for them for property tax relief. And on top of that, we're going to do something to help people in the state get college education. I mean, this is something that I don't care who you are, parents, grandparents are talking about how their kids, their grandkids can't go to school, or if they do, the crushing student debt that they feel is just a dream killer. And that's something that I think that we definitely need to tackle. This is their money. Let's help them go to school. Let's help them get in school. And so I don't believe it's a bunch of spending brackets. We didn't light up a Christmas tree here with things that were very targeted: jobs, education, and property tax relief. And that's all things I believe that affects everyday working class Mainers' pocketbooks. And it's their money. We're giving it back to them. We're not raising any taxes in doing that.
Once those revenue projections fall short.
We'll certainly have to go back and try and maybe lower some of these, But again, this is what we feel solidly about was the revenue projections, and we've put it all back into programs that are going to help people in the state. Again, I can't stress any more that it's their money, and we're giving it back to them. Property tax relief, education funding, workforce development, and student debt, which I believe is really something that's killing this country.
I know you guys have talked about this before, but again, on 3%, is the Democratic caucus, or are the caucuses open to doing this another way? You know, if there's another way to get at that funding for education, other than the 3%, you guys up for that?
Listen, I think there's a couple things that we want to make sure we emphasize here. First of all, what we want to deliver and what we think people are asking for is government that actually works for them and invests in them and does not leave them behind. That's what we put forward in this proposal. Secondly, we are committed, we always have been, and we always will be, to working with our colleagues and sitting down and getting our jobs done. This is a way of putting something that is in very stark contrast to the governor's income tax cut proposals, which leave 80% of Mainers behind, and in making sure that we are absolutely prioritizing the funding of education. At the end of the day, we will always do our job. We will always be sitting down with our colleagues, and we will pass a budget in a timely manner that keeps this state running.
On the bonds, I see, 4 bonds here with no money attached. What kind of total package are you looking at? Like, what's the dollar figure that you're aiming at?
So the bonds, as you see them there, are there's, for each of those bonds, there are a number of different bills out there. The reason why we included those is that we wanted to emphasize that a bond package will not be complete if it does not have significant investment in infrastructure that includes not just traditionally roads and bridges, but also the digital infrastructure, without which we cannot build an economy in this state. So they do not have numbers attached
And
because
they're
they
not
were,
included in the
because-
revenue side.
that's right, because they will be part of a package that we negotiate.
So that's your wish list essentially for whatever bond package is passed out, if there is.
Well, that's what we believe the state needs to actually help put people to work and get our economy to where it should be.
Bonds have to be paid for.
Mhm.
So somewhere in the budget, you've got to account for whatever it is you want for a bonding level.
That's
As
correct.
the governor did in his budget. So have you got an overall number that you're talking about?
We do not have a number that will have to be determined as we negotiate a package. So I think what's clear here, and maybe what you're getting at now, is that this is our proposal. And as we all in this room know, it takes 4 caucuses to tango and create a budget that withstands the 2/3 number that we have to get to.
Yeah, $5 million in opioid.
And the clock is ticking. To quote the minority floor leader, we're running out of time here.
In 60 days, we will need to have a budget ready to go. The clock is ticking, we're counting it every day.
The $5 million in opioid funding.
Mhm.
2 questions. One, is that enough, considering that Portland just had 5 revivals, I think, in 24-hour period? And number 2, so this would be just general money based on whatever comes out of task force for their recommendations, right?
It's probably not enough money. The truth is, none of us have found the right solutions to actually turn the tide on what's happening for us in this state with the opioid epidemic. What we know for sure is that we have to address it and that we have people dedicated to working on it. We expect some of those proposals to start landing in front of us in the next 4 weeks through bills that are in policy committees and through the task force that is working on it. We felt it was really, really important to identify and set aside some dollars for it, but we do anticipate that that will probably change as those bills and the task force does its work and as the appropriations committee does its work as well.
2 questions about the education part. Is all of your added funding for education come from the 3%? And how much would your proposal increase school funding compared to that? How much over?
Mhm. So the 3% does not get us completely to the number that Republicans and Democrats voted out of the Education Committee, which is 55%. So the funding also, and we can give you guys all the straight numbers on this. I can't honestly walk through them off the top of my head. But so we do fund some of that with the projected growth and revenue in here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
your attention and
Ladies,
time.
guys and ladies.